In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Get ready to fight from within. You're about to go behind enemy lines.
Roger, 3-2. Goliath copies all. Go ahead. Target is surrounded by multiple firms entering what appears to be a residential area. Requesting permission to engage.
From the People's Republic of New York City, you're now going behind enemy lines with Gene Baradelli and Russ Gallo.
And you are now behind enemy lines. Hey there, how you doing, America? Gene Baradelli here with you on a cool evening here in the People's Republic of New York City with my boy Russ Gallo. Russ, how you doing, my brother?
What's going on, GBZ?
Trying to get everything down here for a great show, and we're going to have a little bit of fun tonight, I think. We're going to try to talk, of course, about the election, but we want to talk about all the goings-on in the political cycle. Not just the presidential election, but also how it's affecting local races, how it's affecting state senate races, all that fun stuff. And it's going to be a good show, pal.
In other words, we're winging it.
Pretty much. That's how we're going to do it. Listen, I want to thank you guys for listening to the show. If you listen to us live at www.behindenemylinesradio.us under the Listen Live button and you're in our chat, thank you for being with us. If you're listening to us on rebroadcast or podcast or however you're listening to us, we're just glad that you're with us. And
folks call in tonight, or is that
you know what? Do you want to open the phone lines up?
You never know what we get on a Tuesday night when we record live.
Phone lines like a box of chocolates on this show. You just never know what you're gonna get. You know what? For the live audience that's listening to us right now, Tuesdays on Spreaker, yeah, let's open it up. Why not? Put the number in the chat room at 718-395-2351. That's 718-395-BEL1. Hopefully we'll be able to hear you because I'm having a couple of audio problems, but we'll work on that part later. You know what? We gotta ask the question first and foremost, Russ, right now. I don't know if people notice this, but there's been a gaping hole in the Republican presence for Donald Trump. And once you hear this, folks, you're going to know exactly who we're talking about. Oh, there's that beat. There you go.
This is old.
Senator Mitch McConnell. And yes, that was me at the end of that. So, where has anybody seen Addison Mitchell McConnell Jr.?
We have the death watch going. I don't know if he's alright. I hope he's okay.
I mean, listen, 74-year-old guy, from Kentucky, glasses, a little bit of a turkey neck thing going on, right?
He ain't no spring chicken.
You know,
he ain't no Hillary Clinton. I'll put it that way.
Let's put it that way, yeah. And we'll be sending our birthday wishes to Hillary later on for her.
Did you see
many happy returns
on Drudge?
That thing can cause a fire. But listen, back on topic. Senator Mitch McConnell, where are you? We gotta put out an APB? The man's been non-existent.
So I'm curious if he's hedging his bets, because I guess the political class somehow believes that if they distance themselves from Donald Trump, that the Republicans will somehow retain control of the Senate. And to an average Republican like myself, I wonder, what does it even matter if we keep the Senate at this point?
Well, that seems to be the working theory, Russ. I mean, the theory is that Senator McConnell is going to be staying mum. Well, as I let my phone go a little crazy here. Did you hear that? I'm trying to listen to the show and talk at the same time. Yeah, he's been not on the national stage. He's been in Kentucky, according to published news reports, and they're saying, at least according to the mainstream media, CBS is saying that he's either avoiding answering or explicitly refusing to address the topic of Donald Trump.
Well, I mean, it's a good strategy because we really need a Republican-controlled Senate. I mean, remember all the good things that they did? They voted to overturn Obamacare, and they
did that thing. Oh, they did that other thing, and yeah, they did nothing.
Voted to not extend the debt ceiling, and
yeah, they held their ground on.
They passed a budget.
Yeah, with
they stopped the sequester from ruining the military. They did lots of good things. The Republicans.
Yeah,
we need them.
Sure.
We actually need a Republican Senate, and we need Paul Ryan and the majority of the House, because they're doing great things. The power of the purse, they're really pulling those purse strings and reining Obama in.
Well, the RNC as a whole, listen, we can make fun of Mitch McConnell all we want, and, we're not the only ones putting an APB out for him. It seems like everyone's putting an APB out for him. Point being, Mitch McConnell is representative and emblematic of the Republican Party that's, I guess, the establishment that's in power in the legislature right now.
He's not.
Absolutely he is. Here's how he is.
Youth and vigor of the Republican Party.
He's the future. He's the
future of the party.
He's the infusion of energy that we need to get over the top.
He is what the Republican Party needs to represent for at least the next 8 to 10 days.
Alright, but let's get serious for 1 second, pal. For real. They're hedging their bets because they want to keep their own jobs. And they think that by hitching their star to Donald Trump, that's a sure way to lose their job. And by losing the job, you lose power. By losing power, you lose influence and control that you don't use anyway except to feather your own nest anyway. So they're really just out for themselves, is what I'm trying to say. That's what it comes down to. Mitch McConnell is not only running scared of Donald Trump, but speaking out against him vehemently, especially when it came to the whole, trumped up tape from NBC.
Trumped up.
Pun intended, by the way. This whole trumped up tape from NBC of him talking to Billy Bush about female body parts and all this stuff. It's one of those things, pal, where you really see politics at its ugliest.
Well, I think you're missing the strategy, Jim.
Oh, I am.
Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, Paul Ryan, that very strong game plan here.
Oh, okay, so there's a plan.
Yes, I believe that if they and I'm with them. If they distance themselves from Donald Trump, the Democrats and the media will like them. They will like Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell. Does anyone believe that, honestly?
Well, didn't the media like Donald Trump when he was in the primaries?
When he was bashing Republicans? I think
absolutely. They loved him.
Little Marco and Lion Ted. I think they loved Donald Trump back then.
Absolutely. How much free publicity did he get from the media during the primary season?
When he switched over to Crooked Hillary, not
that much. That was the end of that. So, yeah, come on. Isn't there a lesson to be learned there? Come on, guys. Listen, bottom line, they're out for themselves. That's what it's all about. They're looking out for number one and looking out to step in number two.
What does the Republican Party today, led by Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan, actually believe in and will fight for?
Well, there's a platform, isn't there? I mean, there was this whole convention that I remember back in the summer.
Planned Parenthood is still open, last I checked?
Yeah, I think they are.
Article 1, Section 8. Who controls the power of the purse?
I believe it's Congress.
The border's still open?
Like a sieve, yeah.
Deportations of, we could talk about criminals, but non-criminal aliens, that's still happening. I don't think any of this stuff is happening.
Congressional funding still going to sanctuary cities?
Sanctuary cities, defunding President Obama's illegal, unconstitutional executive orders. I believe the Republicans didn't pass any of those.
I'm sure they're working hard right now to stop the bleeding that is the open wound of Obamacare.
So tell me, Mr. Berardelli, what is the Republican game plan? What is their ideology? Why do I want to vote for any Republican at any level of government? What do they get? What do they get me? What do they do for me?
Well, I think if you vote for them, they win, and then you go to D.C., you might get a tour of the Capitol.
What has Mitch McConnell come out strongly for or against?
Here's my most vivid memory of Mitch McConnell, and this is him at CPAC about 2 years ago, running on stage with an antique musket in his hand and pumping it up and down in his fist. Do you remember that?
Apropos.
You remember that?
An antique holding an antique musket.
Oh, good Lord. It was like he was coming out as some sort of Second Amendment warrior.
It looked like the original musket he used during the Civil War. That old cracker.
Oh, man. Listen, folks.
But I am curious, Gene. I mean, can you name anything?
I can't name...
I'm being serious, folks. Come to the chat room, call us, email us, tweet it. What does the Republican Party today stand for? What will they fight for? What will they go to the mat for? What will they not negotiate? What is a non-negotiable stance that any one of these Republican so-called leaders will take?
And listen, if you spot Senator Mitch McConnell and you snap a photo of him, we'll send you a bagel from Brooklyn. You'll love it. It's a good thing. Listen, if you want to call in, 718-395-2351. That's 718-395-BEL1. Russ, this is really, in your experience, and listen, you've worked on campaigns as much as I have, probably more so. Can you remember a crazier run-up to a presidential election? I sure can.
This is pretty over the top.
And that's saying something considering what we've seen in politics.
But it's scary. Because, I mean, we don't have a party.
We don't have a party, but here's the thing that's scary to me. The other side has a machine that is unbelievable. We talk about the incestuous relationship between Democrats and the media, but the curtain has been pulled, and we're seeing that the wizard is some old guy from Kansas.
Remember when Fox News was like the alternative media?
Remember when Breitbart was the alternative to the alternative media?
Remember when Megyn Kelly was a hot conservative chick?
Okay, you lost me on that one. Do you remember when we were actually optimistic about fighting the hypocrisy of the media? It turns out that it's not just on the left, it's on the right as well. Reports this week that Breitbart has been working with liberal operatives that are connected also to the James O'Keefe Project Veritas expose in order to take down Republicans, to take down Senator Marco Rubio, and to take down Ted Cruz. So, listen.
Gene, I'm going on record right now.
I'm done with Breitbart, man. You're going on record again? But you can go on record.com. Go on record.com, you'll hear the ad in the middle of the show as well.
Closet Democrat, out of the closet lesbian, Megyn Kelly.
Speaking of Megyn Kelly, this week, she got into it with Newt over media coverage of the election and other topics.
Rightfully so. Newt was on the money in that little exchange on Fox. I think it was earlier today. Was it earlier today or last night?
Well, it was sometime this week. Depending upon you listen to the show, it was this week. But it was combative, it was combustive, and I gotta say, Newt kind of gave it to her.
And Megyn was basically saying she called Donald Trump a sexual predator. What does that mean to you, Gene, if I call someone a sexual predator?
It usually means that they have been proven, at least in a court of law, or there's some evidence out there in the public sphere that some sort of actual assault occurred in a sexual nature.
So you mean trying to kiss a woman, an unwanted advance? Let's talk about unwanted advances for a second.
Trying to kiss a woman and her not wanting that's more like, making a move and not getting a positive response.
You know what?
If that's the case,
if you try to kiss a woman,
I think every male's a sexual predator then.
Asking first, you should go to jail. I mean, that's Megyn Kelly's new standard. If, who has ever asked for permission to make a move on a girl? I mean, that's just not even realistic.
Well, listen, I don't want to go into the birds and the bees on the show, but you kind of feel the moment, don't you?
I mean, I hate to say signals or whatever, but these unwanted... He kissed me on the mouth without asking.
Dun, dun, dun.
I've never really seen that done before.
I think I asked when I was 13.
All right.
You know? Listen, maybe just me. I was a little awkward. I don't know.
If I had $1 billion in the bank, I'd be out there grabbing cats too, if you know what I mean.
And we're not just talking about Katsimatidis either. Anyway, listen, I get the whole thing. Listen, Donald Trump is an alpha male. I get it. I just wonder.
And by the way, what's wrong with him saying, look at her? Do you really think that's the kind of woman I would try to kiss or try to touch?
If he's saying he's got standards, then fine. But here's the thing I gotta wonder, Russell. We talked about this last week as well. Donald Trump was not a sexual predator, quote unquote, until he ran for office. Donald Trump wasn't a bigot until he ran for office. Donald Trump wasn't a deviant. Donald Trump wasn't a horrible person. Donald Trump wasn't all these things until he ran for office. And specifically, wasn't any of these things until he was the nominee for the Republican Party against Hillary Clinton.
But Gene, these women were afraid to come out against a rich and powerful man.
What's the difference now? What is the difference now?
Now he's not rich and powerful. Oh.
He's actually more powerful.
You're right. So why are these women coming out? I don't know. It's a good question.
I just don't understand. Before the election, Donald Trump was being lauded by Jesse Jackson as a friend to the black community, especially on Wall Street, was given awards with Rosa Parks at the same banquet for all that he did in assisting the black community in the world of finance. Now, Jesse Jackson is saying that he is the worst thing on two legs.
If
the worst bigot, the worst thing. Come on.
From today, if 2 weeks from now you wake up and Hillary Clinton is our president, I 100% blame women, especially ugly women, and that's it. Done.
By the way, when we do wake up on that day, it's going to be with a wicked hangover from hanging out at the Proud Boy magazine launch party in New York City. That's actually where we're going to be for election night. So if you're in the New York City area, and I don't know if you can still get tickets to the party or not, go to ProudBoyMagazine.com, see if there are tickets still available for this party. It's going to be great. We're going to be hanging out with a whole bunch of great people. Gavin McGinnis from Vice Media, and our friend Jack Buckby, who's working with Proud Boy Magazine, Anthony Cumia from Opie and Anthony. That's going to be a little bit of a rager. It's going to be a little bit of a good time. It's going to be fun.
Sexual predators, one and all.
We might all be sexual predators that night. Who the heck knows? Listen, time for our first commercial break, but when we come back, in Video Veritas, is James O'Keefe's Project Veritas videos making a dent? And will it make a difference on election night? Gene and Russ, back behind enemy lines, right after these quick words. If you're a long-time listener of the show, or maybe this is your first time listening, you can probably tell that me and the gang here, we like to have our share of fun, whether it's on or off the air. We talk about 2-drink minimum radio and no medication Wednesdays or whatever day it may be. That's why when we found the people at Less Government, More Fun, we knew it was a match made in heaven with this show. Folks, we live in a time where government is out of hand. Our founding fathers did not intend government to be all-consuming in all parts of our lives. That's why we are telling you to go to lessgovmorefun.com, check out the website, check out the swag. What the people want is less government, more fun. Pass it on, make it happen.
Who might you save?
Your mother, your father, your husband, uncle, aunt, son.
Learn FAST, F-A-S-T, the sudden signs of a stroke, and you could save.
Your friend, teacher, boss.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. F-A-S-T. That's F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911. The sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in the recovery of
your neighbor, the waiter, grandmother, grandfather.
So learn FAST, the sudden signs of a stroke, then pass it on, because you never know who might save you.
Your wife, your colleague.
Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org, brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Behind Enemy Lines Radio is all about being right. No, seriously, it is. If you ever listen to Russ Gallo or me go back and forth on some issue, we always want to make sure that we remember who said what and when we said it. That's why we go to GoOnRecord.com. It's a brand new social media website. Challenge people on what they believe, whether it's in politics, sports, entertainment, finance, whatever. There's a category for you at goonrecord.com. Check it out right now. Tell us, what do you stand for? It's time for you to go on record.
Behind Enemy Lines. Back on the air.
Gene and Russ, back behind enemy lines. Russ, we teased it at the end of the last segment. Project Veritas. Our friend James O'Keefe, he's been on the show a couple of times.
My ninja.
Your boy. He's been on the show a few times. He's released now 3 videos talking about the dirty tricks in politics that the Democrats are playing. The latest video involves, of all things, Donald Duck. For those of you who haven't seen the videos yet, what I'm referring to is the idea between this PAC, the DNC, and Hillary Clinton herself of having Donald Duck-like characters at Trump rallies and events saying that Donald is ducking the question about his taxes.
So what's wrong with that, though?
What's wrong with that is that the DNC, the Clinton campaign, and Hillary Clinton herself have been coordinating with a super PAC, possibly in violation of election rules, federal campaign finance rules, and just shows you the craziness of the Democratic machine and the coordination there. The first videos were coordination between the campaign and the media. Now we're seeing coordination between the DNC, super PACs, and the Clinton campaign, including Hillary Clinton herself. The video shows Bob Creamer discussing with a undercover reporter from Project Veritas how Hillary Clinton loved the idea of having these Donald Ducks everywhere, and him saying if Hillary wants ducks on the ground, then by God there will be ducks on the ground.
And this is them, by the way, and when I say them, I mean these Democratic operatives who work for Hillary Clinton, who happen to be in super PACs and the DNC and our own campaign, speaking rather openly to someone who I assume they just met or known for a very short period of time.
The audacity!
Veritas. The audacity is right.
The arrogance!
Imagine what's really going on.
The unmitigated gall!
It's quite astonishing.
It is.
That they're willing to lay it all on the table to some kid that they just met.
Presumably some kid. Could be an adult. We don't know who the confidential journalist is. But
I mean, when they say
I think it's a kid.
The mentally ill to go and pick fights at Trump rallies, aren't these the very same leftists that claim to be champions of the mentally ill voters, the majority of Democratic voters out there? Yet they're paying homeless people and mentally ill people to go to Trump rallies and pick fights? To make Trump supporters look crazy?
It's amazing, isn't it?
The goal.
But you know what I love about the left? Their only response is that you cannot trust Project Veritas. James O'Keefe is a convicted criminal. No, they don't even say that.
No, they said he selectively edits.
They
say,
so
he has 8 hours of footage, and he selectively edits what to put on television.
Isn't that what CBS and ABC and NBC and Fox does?
Playing, that all newscasts have editors. The New York Times has editors.
What's a soundbite, Russ, if not an edited comment?
Yes. And any show that's not live has
editors. Come on.
O'Keefe usually puts the full footage, the raw footage, on his site. If you want to sit through the whole 6 hours of it.
It's absolutely crazy. But what I love is they attack him, but they don't attack the footage.
You know, it's the same thing with the emails. Delete the emails on WikiLeaks.
The emails are stolen. You can't be relied upon.
They're stolen. What about the content? Well, they're stolen, and Russia's trying to influence our elections.
Okay, we've established they're stolen.
Okay, what about the content?
The content of this email, is it accurate or not? Well, I'm not going to address their stolen documents.
Well, they give their legalese answer, Mr. Lawyer Gene. I don't recall sending that email.
Well, is this your email address on here?
I don't remember seeing that email. I don't remember. Because they don't want to lie. So they can say they don't recall.
It's the Potomac two-step, is what it is.
We all know that every one of those emails that WikiLeaks has put out is 100% factual.
We all know that everything on James O'Keefe's videos are accurate. I trust his credibility because I don't trust anybody else's credibility. And by the way, how could 2 Democrat operatives be fired or leave their job as a result of these videos if they were untrue? Russ, if somebody made an untrue video about you,
they have.
They may have. I would stand by you and say these videos are fake. He's not going anywhere. We're fighting this all the way.
Well, no.
They say a video is fake, it's horrible, this is deplorable what's happened, and that guy can't comment because he's been fired.
The new standard is it doesn't matter if it's on video or email or on tape or if you even say it in public if you're a Democrat. That's the new standard. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We all know what Hillary did in those emails now.
I don't get how it doesn't matter. Listen.
They're Democrats. What is the news talking about today? Are they talking about WikiLeaks? And are they talking about... Is Project Veritas getting any airtime in the mainstream media?
They have been on... They did on the weekend news shows. No, they have been on Fox. On ABC News with George Stephanopoulos, there was a discussion about Project Veritas. I watched it. Don't give me that look. It was there. It's out there. They made the front page of the New York Times, which is pretty darn good if you ask me for an organization like that. But you know what they're talking about when it comes to Project Veritas? They're talking about, well, Donald Trump gave them money. Trump Foundation gave him $15,000. How could you trust them if the campaign is doing that?
Well, then I stand corrected, Gene. You're right. Everybody else, every media outlet is fair and balanced now. You're right.
They're not fair and balanced. I'm just saying that there is some coverage out there.
That's it. If
not nearly enough.
Mentioned it, then that's it. It's all the news that fits print.
Well, a mention in the New York Times is definitely different than coverage by the New York Times. Let's just say that.
Now, what did O'Keefe say was coming out tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow being later this week, being Wednesday, is another video.
Oh, did he hint at what that could be?
He absolutely hinted at what it could be. He hinted that it's going to involve one of the main detractors of his videos from that Democratic Partners organization. And he basically said, if you like your 15 minutes of fame now, just wait till tomorrow. We're talking about Brad Woodhouse, who was the boss of Scott Fauval, who was one of the gentlemen who was fired from that PAC.
Who paid the mentally ill people.
Exactly. He's going around saying that O'Keefe's a criminal, he's a liar, these tapes are edited, very vocally with Steve Doocy on Fox News this week.
Now, Gene, just hold on a second, rewind.
There. All right, there
None of this is going to matter, dude.
You don't think anything's going to matter?
Hillary Clinton basically committed espionage against the United States. Basically. Treason, possibly. The FBI director goes on TV and says, classified information certainly was stored and disseminated through Hillary Clinton's private server. Likely hacked by who knows who. And nothing happened to her. So what is this going to do?
I think the constant pressure of video after video after video will sway some undecided voters. Listen, voting's happening right now.
Which is a travesty,
in more than 30 states.
How do you have early voting?
Well, you know, let's save that discussion for our final segment, because that's a nice little policy debate I want to have with you. Because as an advocate for voter participation, one could make an argument that early voting is a good thing. We'll get to that later on. But I just want to...
If Hillary Clinton murders someone on television tomorrow...
You can still show up at the polls and vote.
40 million people have voted already.
You can still show up at the polls and vote, and that vote's nullified in most states.
Then what's the point of early voting?
Well, in case you can't make it to the polls, or...
What if they still can't make it to
your mind's made up?
But they cast their vote already.
Just like voting here in New York. If you submit an absentee ballot, you still show up at the polls. They're going to count you at the polls and not the absentee. So,
but presumably the point of early voting is that you anticipate not being able to make it to the polls. So if you cast your vote in Hillary
Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It could just be that you just don't want to show up at the polls. Listen, Oregon is all mailing voting.
Oh yeah, Oregon. That's who
there's the gold standard. Yeah, and the
Portland hipsters lead the way in democracy. Please.
And the ducks shall lead them. Absolutely. Listen, like we can get into that in the next segment. I just want to stay on topic with this for one more second. I know it's hard to concentrate on one topic at a time. I think that the Project Veritas videos will have a bit of an impact.
No effect.
No effect whatsoever. You're saying it right now.
Listen, I've said this how many times now on this show. Americans in general are not even ready for democracy. They're not ready. They're just not suitable for democracy anymore. They're uninformed, ill-informed. They're idiots for the most part. They're still watching football. They care about this Cleveland Cubs World Series, and they're not paying attention to what the hell is going on in the race for the president of their own country. So we get what we deserve, Gene. We get what we deserve. Obama won 2 terms. The man is likely not even born in the country, or possibly. Put me down as a birther. I don't care.
Okay, no, okay.
Possibly not born in the country. Disaster. The economy is in shambles since he took office. Did he inherit a mess? Every president inherits a mess. Never took responsibility for a damn thing he did. Acted extra constitutionally, and that's being kind. The entire time he was in office. Won 2 terms. You really think the American people are ready for democracy?
I'm going to be the eternal optimist. I've seen what's happened around the world. We saw what happened in Great Britain. I think at this point we are seeing a trend that we cannot really measure, and that is a dissatisfaction with the status quo. I think that people need a reason to go and pull that lever. They got to fight the couch before you fight the other candidate.
And Americans' big asses are on the couch.
They
and
are.
The couch is winning.
But maybe James O'Keefe's videos can get people up off the couch.
I don't know. Prove it, Gene.
All right.
2 weeks.
All right. Well, I promise you we talk about early voting. Let's do it right now. Let's get to it right now. What do you have against early voting?
Can I cast my vote for the next presidential election already?
No, you can't do that because
so how early should we be allowed to vote, Gene?
Well, every state has different rules. That's why you have the Laboratory of States determining for themselves when voting should start.
So what's acceptable to you?
I don't know what's acceptable to me at this point.
Months?
New York doesn't have early
5
voting.
Months? During the primaries, can I cast a vote for president?
Listen, let's set up the definition for our listeners, and then we'll go forward from there. Early voting permits citizens to cast ballots in person at a polling site prior to an election, or in some cases also by mail. In states that permit no excuse early voting, a voter does not have to provide an excuse for being unable to vote on election day. States that do not permit no excuse early voting may still permit some citizens to vote early, provided they prove that they have valid reasons. 34 states and the District of Columbia permit no excuse early voting. Another 3 states utilize all mail voting systems, eliminating the need for early voting.
Mail?
M-A-I-L.
I was gonna say, which state is that?
You
Moving there.
Western chauvinist, you. So we're talking.
You also subscribe to the idea that candidates or campaigns should be allowed to bag votes of absentee voters, bag them up, and one person bring them to the Board of Elections and submit them all. Do you not?
I have no comment on that whatsoever. However, the states that have early voting, you'll be surprised which ones they are. All the states in the middle of the country, flyover country, that votes Republican. I'm talking about your Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana.
Jeans everywhere, man.
That's a great ad by Avis, right? They have no excuse early voting. The People's Republic of New York has in-person absentee voting with an excuse. We've discussed that before. You pick up your absentee voter application, you put down the reason why you can't show up to vote. Too elderly, too sick, will be out of the country, whatever, and you can vote early with your absentee ballot.
I'm against it.
Why are you against it? Don't you want to increase participation of voters and give them as many options as possible
I do not
to be able to do that?
That voting should be made that easy. First of all, Gene,
but it's a fundamental right. Why shouldn't it be made easy?
So, what do you mean? Why should it be made that easy? It's a fundamental right. It's a fundamental right that the integrity of the voting system be kept in place to ensure that my vote counts.
Right.
If someone bundles dozens of illegally obtained absentee ballots and submits them, they cancel out my vote. And then some. I'm all for voter ID. You show up on the day of with an ID, and then you vote. What's wrong with that?
Well, voter ID, I agree with you on 100%. Let's get that out of the way.
If you're doing it by mail, Gene, where's the voter ID?
Voter ID is your signature. It's going to be your signature.
Oh. So then why show ID at the polls? Why can't I just sign when I show up? Like we do now.
Listen.
That's the current system in New York State.
There's a
your
difference.
Signature is your ID.
There's a difference between photo voter ID and voter ID. We just got something in the mail from the New York City Board of Elections that had a little tear-off card that said where your poll site is and what district you're entitled to vote in. That can be a voter ID. You can just show that card and there it is.
Well,
how do you know that that person carrying that card is the person whose name is on that card?
Well, let's just clear things up, though. In New York State, the signature is the ID. That's all you have to do when you go is sign.
Right, and that's the problem with New York.
You have the card you're talking about or not. You don't need the card.
That's the problem with New York. However, if you
But if we mail them, Gene, you're doing even less. You're supposedly signing it at your house when I could just practice signing your signature a couple times and sign your vote away.
Well, the vote goes to your house.
Or my mom lives in Florida and she gets her ballot keeps on getting mailed to my house in Brooklyn, New York, and I just sign her name and vote for her.
And that happens more often than not.
It happens a ton. Or someone dies, and every year you just keep voting for them. This happens. This is happening now as we speak.
Husbands vote for wives, wives vote for husbands. Happens all the time, right?
Yes. So you should be against it.
So now we're talking about mail-in votes, but there is such a thing as in-person early voting.
So if you can get your lazy ass there early, you can get your lazy ass on Election Day.
Not necessarily. Who knows? There could be. Listen, do you remember Election Day here in the People's Republic of New York City in 2012?
I will never forget it.
Do you remember what a pain in the you-know-what it was to travel to anywhere at that point? Because Superstorm Sandy had happened, and polls were open a few weeks afterwards. There was a gas shortage that people couldn't drive away. It took 2 hours to get gas.
Yes, but you're making the argument for post-election day voting right there.
No, I'm not. I'm making the election for pre-election day voting. If you were able to show up...
We're not going to know if Superstorm Sandy was going to knock down the thing 3 months before it happened?
If you were able to show up to vote any other day, it would have been easier on a whole lot of people who were displaced. If you were up in the Bronx and you lived in Brooklyn, if you could have come to Brooklyn in a 10-day period after the storm and been able to vote any one of those 10 days, wouldn't that have been better than the system where you just vote where you are and you don't necessarily get to cast a vote for certain offices? I mean, if you remember, the people who were displaced were voting upstate, let's say. They couldn't vote for state assembly or state senate in their local district because they could only vote on the federal election.
Who cares about those guys anyway?
Well, they were the people that we wanted to vote for you. But I digress. Point being, I think that there is... Listen, mail voting obviously is problematic. The burden of proof is on...
Mail voting is even more problematic.
Wow.
I'm going to go there tonight.
Burden of proof would be on the person looking to strike that vote to show that it's not the person that actually voted. That's kind of where mail-in votes has the workaround. The burden of proof is going to be on the person challenging the vote, not necessarily any other voter who thinks that there was something done illegally.
Does voter fraud exist? Do
Yes.
you believe it's happening?
Yes, absolutely.
When was the last person prosecuted for voter fraud anywhere in this country?
I remember one woman who was lauded by the Democratic Party after she was found to have voted in 2 different states. It was a news story about 6-8 months ago.
Do you think it's as aggressively prosecuted
as it should be? No. Absolutely not.
So no one cares. They just let it happen. Everybody knows it's happening, but
the people in power don't care. But everyone I talk to about voter ID or increasing voter participation through early voting is all for it. Let's table this for a second. We got a song to play before we get to anything else. And I'm not talking about the Where in the World is Mitch song that we played earlier.
Where is Mitch McConnell, by the way?
Has anybody found him yet? Let us know. 718-395-2351 if you're listening to us live. If you're not, don't call that number because that's my Skype and I want to talk to you. But we're going to take a quick break to rest our voices here. We're getting a little froggy here, a little scratchy. And when we come back, some more election shenanigans we're going to discuss. Gene and Russ, behind the lines, take a listen to this little ditty.
If you want to rob a bank or run a red light, then there's something you should do first that'll make it all right. You can break any law without any oversight if you change your last name to Clinton. You can lie to the feds or just act like a jerk. Make a crap ton of money without doing any work. Plus, you can sleep with your staff as an added perk if you change your last name to Clinton. The SEC, the FBI, the House of Representatives, they just don't apply. You can have all of your enemies mysteriously die if you change your last name to Clinton. Sell special favors to the communist Chinese. Charge $100 million for some speaking fees. Tell that sexy intern to get down on her knees. You can do it if your last name is Clinton. Collect lots of cash through your private foundation. Store top secret info in an unsecure location and somehow secure the Democratic nomination. You can do it if your last name is Clinton. Nothing to it if your last name is Clinton. Oh, it's against the law? Screw it. Your last name is Clinton.
Gene Russ, back behind me. Man, I love that song by Mark K. You can check him out on Snapchat, the Mark K Show. Russ is dying over here next to me. Are you okay now?
I'm out of gas.
You're right?
It's depressing. I'm depressed.
You know, you may not be the only one that's depressed, by the way. It seems that there is an overall general fatigue on the social medias. By the way, I didn't do the plugs. Let me get that out of the way. Now I just mentioned the social medias. Thanks for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. I'm Gene, he's Russ. And while we got you listening online, here live Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker, check us out at www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us. Check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters at BEL_radio. And if you missed any part of this here show, live Tuesdays 10 p.m., I'll say it again, Eastern Time on Spreaker. You can check us out at any one of our rebroadcast outlets, including WJHC 107.5 FM, Jasper, Florida, WDDQ 92.1 FM in Adel, Georgia, both part of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Check them out at www.rednationrising.us. You can also check us out on KLRN Radio, High Plains Talk Radio, and Sackheads Media, the Internet's conservative radio network, ICRN, and Lanterns Radio. And I ain't done yet. If you miss us and any one of those rebroadcasts, check us out on demand as a podcast at iTunes, Spreaker, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podbay, Player FM. Discover us on Google Play Music. Check us out on SoundCloud. And also, one of my favorite outlets, iHeartRadio. Russ.
Very nice, Gene. He does that from memory, folks.
I try. I don't do it from memory. There's a secret to doing that.
Pretty soon our whole show is just going to be plugs.
Pretty soon, listen, let's get as many stations as we can in there. It's not from memory. It's I go to www.BehindEnemyLinesRadio.us and I just read off what I see on there.
Well, let me tell you about the blacks, Gene.
Oh, good Lord, what a transition.
My segues, so I'm working on them.
I thought we were talking about voter fatigue on social media,
well,
but
okay.
Okay.
Let me tell you about some of my fatigue.
Okay, sure.
So, Trump has more black support than any Republican since 1960.
Where are you getting this from? Oh my goodness.
He has more black support than any Republican since 1960, Gene. And would you care to guess what percentage?
People can't see my face palm right now. Hashtag face palm right now on air.
What percentage of blacks are voting for Donald Trump, would you guess? If he has more support now than any Republican since 1960.
Let's say 30%. That would be really high.
You're way too
high.
high.
That would be so high right now.
Way too high.
I might be high in saying that.
It's actually 16%.
Whoa, I'm blown away.
So 16% of blacks are voting for Donald Trump, and that is the greatest we've been able to pull off since 1960.
And who pulled off a higher number? Richard Nixon.
What that tells me is that black people are racist. I mean, I'm
really? So not between racist. The two white options out there, they're being racist by picking Hillary.
Not racist. I was acting like a Democrat there. Although I do think that there are lots of racists in the black community. Don't get me wrong. I was throwing around the word racist a little cavalierly. What they are idiots for the most part. They're bought and sold by the Democratic Party.
Well, listen, they make up a quarter of the Democratic electorate.
How can they vote in such lockstep with a political party? It's astonishing.
It's a dependency cycle. We've discussed this before on the show. It's a dependency cycle.
It's brainwashing. They are literally brainwashed into believing that they have got to vote Democrat. It's astonishing, Gene.
Because if they don't, they will lose out on the social welfare programs that Republicans are supposedly so against, and that Democrats will keep going with.
86% of blacks are not on public assistance, but yet 84% will support the Democrat in this election. 84%. There's nothing that can explain that to me. If 84% of white voters back the Republican Party, they would definitely call white people racist.
Well, we're the party of old white people, remember that? They've been saying that about us for years.
It's astonishing, Gene. There's something wrong where an entire race of people votes in lockstep with a political party. I mean, we talked about being doomed and, voter fatigue and election fatigue. If the black community is going to vote overwhelmingly Democratic, when presented with a candidate like Hillary Clinton, there's no helping this country. They don't care about the issues or what the platforms are. They're going to vote Democrat. And there can only be one explanation. They're uninformed, ill-informed, or just idiots. That's all that's possible. Be offended if you want to be offended.
I'm not offended.
I'm not talking to you.
But what I'm saying is, I think that...
I'm talking to our black listener.
I think that it is... Oh, wow. Oh, you think we only have one? I think we have at least 4. Come on now. In a market where we have dozens of people listening to us...
There's got to be at least...
There's got to be at least 2, 3 of them.
2, 3, 4 of them.
Exactly.
2, 3, 5.
Listen, my thing is, you vote out of tradition. I'm a Republican because my father was a Republican.
I'm a Republican because my mother was a Democrat.
Well, that